Hi there, this is Mr. Harriott, and this is the video for surface area of cylinders for the P2 outcome. Now, this outcome is looking at using the surface area of cylinders, everything we've learnt so far, in a non-mathematical context. So that's starting to look at kind of real-world situations, as it were. Now, I'm only going to go through one example in this video, and this one example should set you up nicely to be able to access the questions in the sheet. I'll kind of demonstrate a lot of the different things that we need when we're approaching these questions. So be aware that when you get stuck, or if you get stuck on the P2 sheet, if you revisit this one example, there's lots of information in here, kind of lots of demonstrations of how we deal with different bits of information in questions. So do revisit it if you need to. So I'm going to put the example on the screen for you. Please pause it and have a go if you'd like to. Otherwise, I'm going to get started with my explanation. So, now whenever we get a question like this, and for any of our P2 questions, what I'd like us to do first is make sure we've got a really good understanding of what the question's asking us. So the first thing we do is read through the entire question. So do that now for me, please. Now, this question has lots of information in it. Okay, straight away there's lots to process. What we're going to do is break it down step by step and collect relevant bits of information from the question to allow us to answer it. Now, the key thing is we need to make sure we've got an idea of what we're being asked. So I know that this is my final question here when I'm asked how much will it cost to print labels for 100 cans. Okay, how much it's going to cost. So I've got a sense of price in there. And it's talking about labels of cans. Okay. But the first things first is I want to know what this can looks like. Okay, what this tin or can looks like. I'm told in the question that each tin has a height of 8 centimetres and a radius of 3 centimetres. So my first step here is going to be to draw the tin, this can, to allow me to start working out where to go. So I'm just going to do a quick sketch using pencil. It doesn't need to be perfect, so don't worry if your art is not as beautiful as mine. But got a sense of this can, okay? Now, I've got these two dimensions. I'm told that the height is 8 centimetres, so straight away I can label on here that this is 8 centimetres, and I'm told that the radius is 3 centimetres, so I can go for here, 3 centimetres. Okay, I know my radius is half of my diameter. Now, that's my can, or that's my tin. Now, as I mentioned, this question is asking us and repeatedly talking about producing labels. Okay, and our final question asks us about printing labels for cans. Now, I know that this is going to complicate my question slightly, because my instinct might be to work out the surface area of this tin as it stands, but a label won't cover the entirety of a tin. The label will only go around the outside of that tin. So I'm only interested in the surface area of my curved surface, okay? My curved surface. Now, so I'm going to draw that out nice and quickly for us, just to make sure we've got a sketch of that as well. These drawings should help us to collect and organise the information in the question. So this is what my label will look like. Okay, this is what my label will look like. And then I've got a height of 8 centimetres given by the question. But then I need to think about what the base of the entirety of the curved surface is. Now, from previous examples and from learning this previously, or from looking at the fluency videos, we know that this base is the same as the circumference of this circle. Now I know, having done it in a previous example, that I can work out the circumference as 2 times pi times r. Now in this case r is 3 centimetres, so that's 2 times 3 times pi, okay, which is 6 pi. So what I'm going to do is label the base here as 6 pi. And I've got a diagram of both my tin and my label. Okay. Now, my question is asking us how much it will cost me to print labels for 100 cans. Okay. I'm also given, okay, so it's how much it will cost. I'm also given this bit of information here, which relates a cost in pence to an area in centimetres squared. Now that centimetre squared is the key giveaway that I need to find an area of this label. So my first step is going to be to take this label and calculate the area of it. So I'm going to go area of one label it's the base times the height, that's 6 pi times by 8. And that will get 48 pi, or I can write that in a decimal form, which is 150.79644. Now I've left quite a few decimal points there just because I'm not finished working with that number. Now I've not finished the question, so this will mean that my answer is more accurate. And that is in centimetres squared. Okay, that's an area, so it's in centimetres squared. I also, when I'm looking back at my question though, should notice that I'm printing labels for 100 cans. Okay, so I've got the area of one label, I've got something which relates my cost and my area, but I also have 100 cans. So what I'm going to do is take my area of one label and I'm going to find the area of 100 labels. My operation here, nice and simply, will be multiplication times by 100. I've got 100 times as many, and that gives me 15079.644 centimetres squared. Okay, and that gives me an area of 100 labels. Finally, to make sure I can answer this question, I've got this key piece of information. I'm told that the relationship between a cost of printing and an area printed is that it's 2 pence. Okay, I'm going to copy this down for us. It's 2 pence per 5 centimetres squared. Okay, 2 pence per 5 centimetres squared. Now I want to think about what that actually means in the context of the question before I just jump in, because it can be difficult at this point to make sure I'm getting my operations the correct way round. Okay. Now some of us may see it straight away, but others might need to really think about this. This is telling me that it costs 2 pence to print 5 centimetres squared. Now I have this label, or I have 100 of these labels, but I know that I could split this label into little bits which are each 5 centimetres squared. So if I did that, if I kept doing that, I know that each one would be worth 2 pence. Okay, so this costs 2p, this also costs 2p. So what I need to know is how many 5 centimetres will go into the total area of the label, or in this case, the total area of 100 labels. Pardon me. So my operation here, it should be clear to us, will be division to deal with this 5 centimetres. I have 15079.644, and I'm going to divide that by 5 centimetres squared, and that will give me the number of 5 centimetres squared blocks that are in the total area of all of my labels, my 100 labels. Now that gives me, when I type into a calculator, 3015.928, and that's how many lots of 5 centimetres are in the entirety of the labels. I know each 5 centimetre cost me 2 pence. I've got over 3,000 squares like this in the total area of 100 labels. Each of them cost me 2p. So now I'm going to start multiplying. I've got 3015, pen isn't working, sorry, 0.928, and now I'm going to multiply by 2 pence, which is this 2 pence, and that will give me a cost in pence of the total printing cost of that 100 labels. So I'm going to get 6031.857. Okay, 6031.857, and that is in pence. Now, I've got an answer now. I've got a cost of printing 100 labels. I'm almost done. The key thing is to make sure my units are nice and clear and consistent, and also that I've not got anything kind of complicated. I need to tidy this answer up. If this is in pence, that should tell me straight away that any decimal, I can't have 0.857 of a pence. That's not how our money system works. So pence I need to round to an integer. So that means I actually have, because of this 8, I'm going to have 6032 pence. And because it's such a large amount, it kind of makes sense to me anyway that I'm going to write that final answer as £60 and 32 pence. Okay, so we can divide by 100 to put it into pounds and pence. And that will be the cost of printing the area of 100 labels. Have a go at P2 for me. Any questions, ask your teacher. But that should take you through all the skills you need. Good luck.